we're gonna look at doing a quick repair on an adapter. And I have this old Faderport here. And I'll just disconnect it here. We've got this Presonus Faderport. And maybe this is an issue that some of you have ran into, but what basically happened here is my transformer, the transformer that ships with the Presonus Faderport, has got this super loud, obnoxious buzzing sound coming out of it. You know, most times I would just unplug the back of the adapter and call it a day and plug it back in when I'm going to use it. But you know what? I would rather just not have to do that and just leave it plugged in the whole time. So the buzzing is actually a problem with the transformer itself. Now, looking at the transformer, you're going to look at replacing it probably. And you could replace a transformer just like this for easily 20 bucks, 25 bucks on Amazon. If you were going to go to Presonus and get an actual authentic replacement, the one that ships with, or the ones that Presonus has to replace this transformer, you're going to pay more than that. Of course, you're going to pay probably about 45, 50 bucks. So, you know what, in going through my boxes after moving, I found a whole bunch of stuff that I probably wasn't going to use anymore for anything else. And one of those things was an adapter that I use for my guitar pedals. My pedal chain a while back, and I replaced that power adapter to something else that fit into my pedal setup. So I didn't need this anymore, so it's been sitting in a box. Anyway, now I looked at the specs on it, and the specs on this Faderport transformer, it says it's a plug-in class 2 transformer. Input, it's 120 volt AC, so just plug it into an electrical outlet, no big deal. 60 hertz, 29 watt. The output is what's really important to us. So the output is DC 9 volts, okay? Not 12 volts, not 5 volts, 9 volt DC, okay? 1200 milliamp minimum, okay? So that's what it's outputting. So in other words, what this Faderport needs for the motorization function to work on the slider is it needs that extra power. You can get away with powering the Faderport on your USB bus without using the transformer, but you will not have the motorized fader functionality powering off your USB bus. So you need the transformer for that. So that said, I thought, wow, man, I looked at the back, I looked at the tip, and I was like, man, that looks like exactly like my plugins. Sorry. You know what? Pause for a moment. Clearly I need caffeine. Much better. So it looked really similar. So I checked it out, and it turns out that the plugins for the pedal chain are just a little bit of a narrower gap on that center pin than what the Faderport transformer is. So go buy another one? Sure, yeah, you could do that. Now, if you're gonna hit up the comment section and blow me up about not spending 20 bucks to get another transformer, go ahead and do that. This video is not for you. If you are a musician who is struggling financially and doesn't have a whole bunch of expendable income, like most of us, especially after last year, to do a really quick, simple repair, then this video is for you, and I'll show you how to do that. So back in the day, I did a whole bunch of cable splicing work. I used to work for a security company and installing security cameras and security systems and all that kind of stuff. Splicing wires was something that I did repeatedly, day in, day out. And once you understand that splicing two wires together is way easier to do than ordering something off Amazon and having it shipped to your door and waiting for it to come and finding out that it actually doesn't fit the plug-in on the back of your Faderport and then having to ship it back. Yeah, I'm opting for the quick repair job because the length of this video is the amount of time it'll take you to do that. I looked at the specs of my pedal adapter. This is a Powerall. It says Godlike. That's Godlyke. I'll put a link in the description if it's still available. I bought it a while ago. Powerall switching adapter. Output 9 volts, 1.7 amps, so 1700 milliamps. The Presonus one was 1200 milliamps. So that's not going to be a problem. So the fact that the pedal adapter is higher milliamps rating than the Presonus Faderport adapter means that I can use this without it causing a problem, provided they're both the same voltage DC sending power to the device, which in this case, the Presonus Faderport needs 9 volts. They're both 9 volts, so that's good. So tools that you're gonna need for this: electrical tape. I call these B connectors. You can pick them up at any electrical store. These ones are just, they've got metal teeth on the inside of this plastic housing. You can use any of these. So you're gonna want a pair of snips, needle nose pliers, preferably something that you can compress this with. I'm gonna use a set of these Klein snips, wire cutters. You could use these instead. These are wire strippers. You can get that at any hardware store. You can use these instead. They're Klein electrical wire strippers as well. If all you have is a Ethernet stripper, cable jacket stripper, you can use that. If you're skilled with a pair of electrical scissors and you want to use that, you can do that too. Bear in mind, if you're not skilled with this, be careful. These are really sharp. What we're going to use is I'll use one of these wire strippers on one of the wires, and I'll use my strippers on the other. So basically all we're going to do is we're actually going to cut this end off. This is the end from the Faderport transformer. I'm just going to take enough off. I'll probably leave a little bit of length to be able to play with. So I don't know, I'll probably cut it back about 12 inches or so. Okay, so that's what I got. This Faderport transformer, garbage. Okay, so now we've got our tip that's gonna fit in the Faderport. We know it fits because it came with the Faderport. So that's why we're keeping it. Okay, so we've got that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut the end of my pedal adapter because these two ends don't fit. So we have to cut the end of this. Essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the end off of the pedal cable, the pedal transformer, and replace it with the Faderport tip. And I'm just gonna put the wires together. Let me cut that. Again, I'll probably just cut it back a wee bit because what I'm actually gonna do here is I'm gonna keep both ends in the event that I eventually want to use the pedal end again. Okay, so what I've done is I've just cut them and then just separated them. So again, using the cable strippers, just gonna feed it in there and find the gauge where I can feel like it's pinching it without cutting the cable. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna go on the middle here, just gonna press it and then pull it off. Okay, that's it. Very easy to do. Okay, press it, pull it off. So that one's ready. Since we know that's the right size, we'll do the same thing on this side. Same thing over here. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing with the Faderport. So this one's a little smaller. You could use the wire strippers again, just find a smaller setting. I'm used to doing it this way. I just kind of score it just a little bit, get a good grip, and then I just kind of pull. And what happens is the plastic jacket on the outside just kind of breaks and exposes the wire beneath. Now the only other thing that you want to check is you want to make sure that you're getting the polarity right when you splice the cables together. So on the wire, you can see there is a marking on one of the wires. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So there's a gray stripe on the top wire there, and then there's nothing on the bottom wire. So the gray stripe wire is the positive side, the other one is the negative. Now you want to find similar markings on the other adapter that you're switching it out with. I'm going to show you a way that you can test that before splicing everything together. To do that, you're going to need meter reader, basically. There we go. Now, I didn't say at the outset that you needed one of these, but these are rather handy to have, even just for testing batteries that maybe go bad in your devices or your pedals. So I'm just going to switch this over to the DC setting, turn that on, and then I'm going to plug in the power of the one that I already cut. In doing that, I want to make sure that these wires are not touching each other, okay? Because I'm sending live power. It's only 9 volts, mind you, and if anyone's ever tested a 9-volt battery from your pedal, kind of what you do is you tap it to your tongue, and then you see that the battery is either giving you a jolt or it's not. If it's not, you know it's time to replace. If it's giving you a good zap, the battery's still good. So that's the only amount of power that's coming out of this right now. If I can find a plug-in somewhere. There we go. Okay, so it's plugged in right now. So I've got live wires, okay? So what I'm gonna do is on the marking, I'm not really sure which side is which here. So I'm just gonna put the negative on this side. It's got some writing on it, so I would assume that that's the positive side, so I'll put the red side on that. Okay, so I'm just gonna tap it together. You're not gonna get jolted or anything here. You just don't wanna touch the 2 wires together, okay? So keep them separated, just like the offspring. Okay, now the other cable, I'm just gonna tap this together. Okay, and my reader says negative 9.17. So what does that mean? It means that my wires are on the wrong side because I got a negative reading, okay? So if I take my red wire and put it on the wire, the opposite one from what we had, okay, so this is where my black wire was. This black wire is now going on the wire that has some writing on it. The other wire has nothing on it. So if I tap those together, now it says positive 9.17. Okay, so that's 9 volts DC. So that means the way that I had those the second time around, that means that this side without the writing is my positive wire. The side with the writing is my negative. Now it's going to vary from power source to power source, so that's why I'm telling you, you may want to have one of these available to test the wire before you splice everything together. I'm just going to unplug it now. And after you unplug it, you might still have a few volts kicking around inside the transformer. That's not a big deal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to splice everything together, and that's where these B connectors come into play. Okay, so these B connectors, I'm just going to take it, and I'm just going to kind of expand it a little bit, just round it out because they kind of come flat already. There we go. Okay, and that just gives me enough room to push the wire in. And you'll see there's some stuff on the inside here, some silicone, okay, and that just basically creates a weatherproof seal for the wire. Now, if you're not going to use this outside, no big deal. But if you take this to gigs, or you're working outside with your Faderport or anything like that, or if you use it for your pedal thing again after the fact. So again, just match up the wires. So writing side is negative. Okay, you're just going to twist them together like this. Okay. So I've got everything spliced together. I'm just going to cut some of the wire off here. And then I'm going to put these B's on the end there and try and cover as much of the wire as I can, like so. And I'm going to take my needle nose, just give these a push down so they bite. Now with the electrical wire, okay, so now you can see I've basically got 2 ends here. Now the thing where I could use both of them at the same time, no power is going to be coming out of one of them while it's plugged into the Faderport, at least in my situation, so it doesn't matter. But if I ever wanted to plug in more things, because we talked about the difference in milliamps before, 1200 milliamps for the Faderport versus 1700 for this adapter we're replacing it with, I have 500 milliamps to spare. Okay, so I could plug in a couple of Boss pedals that use less than 500 milliamps and I'd still be within the power setting of this transformer, so it would still operate properly and power all my devices. Now when I go over 1700 milliamps, that's when some of the devices are going to stop working because there's a power draw problem there. There's not enough power going out. So in this case, I spliced all of them back together so that I have the option to use it for the fader port or to still use it as my pedal power. And I'm just going to put some electrical tape. If you don't have B connectors, you can just tape the ends up. That's all you need to do. Just tape them up separately so you don't touch them together with the bare wire. Put a little bit of tape on each one, like so, just to totally seal up any possible exposure to the bare wire. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put them together like this, and I'll just keep taping to basically cover up our splice. Here's our splice. Here's our two ends, one for the fader port, one for my pedals. Moment of truth, let's plug it in, see what happens. Again, if you have a meter reader, electrical meter reader, power meter, whatever you want to call it, you want to test this out first. Okay, now your old adapter had the pin setting on it as a diagram. On here it shows the center pin, so you see it's got the negative on the outside circle and then the positive on the black inside circle. So that means the center pin is positive, the outer ring is negative. Okay, take your reader, put the positive, that's the red pin, on the inside, okay, just like that, and then take your negative and touch the outside wall. And you should have, one more notch, positive 9.17. So that means our splice is good. If we had them reversed, it would show negative. Okay, so then you know that your splice is wrong on the fader port tip. Take it off, redo it. The reason you want to do that is if you plugged this in and you had them flipped, if you had the polarity reversed and you plugged it into your fader port, you probably fried your fader port. Because it's not going to accept that power. The polarity is flipped, so you're going to blow some fuses and whatnot on the inside, or some diodes on the inside of the fader port. But we've tested it, we know that this is going to work. We've got the center pin positive, like the old transformer said it needs. Let's plug it in. Lights up, no problem. So I know that I've got power here. That is how you can save yourself 25 bucks. I mean, I know it's not a lot. Again, when you're struggling after last year to make ends meet, maybe some of you lost work. Maybe some of you aren't making any money with your main source of income anymore. Save 25 bucks, just do the splice. Watch the video. If this helped you in any way, click the like button below, letting YouTube know that it helped you out. If you want to see more videos like this with home recording, mobile recording, repairs, whatever have you, click the subscribe link below and the notification bell. Thanks for being here. I really hope this helped you out. Keep making music. Stay safe.